Right. So, Selim, we're just inviting some people in, and we'll do typical Dubai style and start a little bit after 5, but I'd say just 1 minute after 5.
And how many people have signed up so far?
We've got about 200, I think. So we've got some people now joining. I think we've got about 50 people joined. And
Perfect.
my God, everyone's on time. That's a first for Dubai.
Perfect.
How are you, Selim? We'll just do some chit chat while we're warming up.
I am doing well. I'm excited about this. I know we've done some of those before, you and me, but it's exciting to do this together again. So I just arrived. I'm traveling and I feel good. So we have a lot of things ahead of us with the merger taking place later this year. And the season had just started at Six Flags. We're having a good season so far. We've had a little bit of weather challenges, but now the weather is getting better and all the parks are open. So we just kicked off the season.
And how many parks are there? Was it 70 something, or how many in total? How many parks have we got?
27.
27. And with the merger?
45.
Cool. And then the world's biggest is coming online, isn't it, soon in Saudi?
Yes, it's coming up in line in Saudi. It will be the biggest, largest park in the world. It opens exactly this time next year, so we're very excited. We'll be on sometime in June. I think June. We're opening up May or June, and it's going to be fun. And people ask me about how it's going to be in the weather in Saudi. But remember, Dallas. I have Dallas, I have Phoenix, I have San Antonio, I have Houston. We're very hot in the summer, but we open at night, and it's fantastic. And then people come to the water park in the summer. So water parks are full. We turn people away. So we get in the water park on a Saturday night. It could be 110 degrees Fahrenheit outside, and the water park is full. So we could get 8,000 people, which is full capacity in a park. And we'll have most probably 12, 13,000 showing up, and we have to turn them away.
Cool. So I think we can start. Yeah, I think it's 2 minutes past 5, but people are late. Well, alas, they're late.
What time is it now? 10 minutes past 5?
It's 2 minutes past 5.
Oh, we can most probably wait another 3-4 minutes if you don't mind. Sometimes people have a hard time signing on. It's not as intuitive, so we can give a little bit more time for a few people to sign on.
Great. So
we're excited about the park in Saudi Arabia. It's fun for us, and they've done a great job. Really, the park is set in a beautiful place. It looks like the Grand Canyon. It's 30 minutes away from Riyadh, downtown Riyadh. It's fun. It's good. It's to the water parks. There's a theme park. There's a concert. There's a kids area, and 12 hotels coming up. So it's pretty fun. So it's nice to see in the region a project like this where people would go to Euro Disney or go to the States. Now you can find one right in your backyard, and it's really of that quality or even more. I think the theming and the experiences and the innovation and the rides that have been put in are beyond belief. It's a multi-billion-dollar park. It will be one of the most expensive parks in the world ever built.
Probably a hell of a lot of good fun as well.
Yes, it's going to be fun. So, Ed, how have you been? I know you've been traveling.
Good. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to today. I've got the kids finally leaving house. They're going to universities and all of that. And I'm really looking forward to today's call, because I remember years ago when we decided to do these things together, it was all about giving back and just being able just to get a very busy CEO who's in the middle of one of the world's biggest transformations and mergers as well, top it all up, just to give us some time to share some pearls of wisdom. That's great. I'm excited.
You know what, Ed? I love what you've done. I've watched you give back. I watch you teach. I watch you coach. And I know you coached my team at Middleby many, many times. And it was phenomenal to watch you lead and guide our team to greatness. And you've done. I think you've disrupted our thinking many, many times. That's why I love doing those things together because you are all about disruption, about game changing, about pivoting, about transforming, and most important about culture, which I love about you is how do you create the best culture at your organization? Because without culture, you can't win. Culture
No,
eats strategy for lunch every single day. You could have the best strategy, you don't have the right culture, it doesn't work.
exactly. Very, very true. So I think we're at 5 minutes past. I think we've got quite a lot of people on board now. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Roll?
Ready.
Fantastic. Cool. So about a year ago, I think it was June the 3rd, 2023, the Wall Street Journal did an interesting article which featured you, and it was about reinventing the customer journey and how you'd managed to disrupt an industry with no real experience because you're a B2B manufacturing guy, right? So
Yes.
tell me about your philosophy, because sometimes people think you need a lot of experience, you need a lot of this, that, and the other industry specific stuff. But talk about your philosophy behind this approach of reinventing the customer journey of disruption in general. Let's start with that.
Well, first of all, I was asked to come to Six Flags to do a turnaround. So it was not like I came in, I was chairman of the board, and then they asked me to step in and do what I do best, which is basically reset the business model. And at that moment, the first thing I always look at are customers. Who are our customers? How are we doing? Are they valuing our services? Are we providing the right services for them? And I immediately realized that the business had stagnated for many, many years, especially after COVID. We were not doing well. I think COVID came in, people came to the park, and then afterwards it went down. And Six Flags has been known for discounting for many, many, many years. So they filled up the park, and the experience was terrible. So quantity over quality, and again, many, many businesses make those mistakes. So the first thing I said, let's reinvent the customer journey, and starting from the beginning of when people enter the park all the way to touch points. And this is where it was a pathway for us to not just meet expectation, but exceed them at every turn. And we're not going to delve into it, but I know you'd love to talk about culture, but we ended up having to change I changed 90% of the senior leadership team, and then we started resetting the culture. So as I look at exploring how we transform the journey, the customer journey, I look at really turning ordinary interaction into memorable experiences. And that drove loyalty and growth in the last 2 years. That's why the Wall Street Journal article spoke about it, because they were surprised by the speed of what we've done and the extent of our transformation. So here am I today. Let's begin envisioning a new customer journey between everybody here, because everybody has a business or involved in a business, and you've been basically coaching many businesses and changing the journey from selling and promoting products to genuinely connect and enrich and delight our customers.
Genuine.
So it's
genuine is the key word. Right?
Yes, not fluff, not And I look at it and saying by prioritizing the customer's experience over direct selling, businesses can create a more engaging, intuitive, and enjoyable journey that encourages repeat business and positive word of mouth. And that I'll give you some example and specific data that happened at Six Flags in a matter of 2 years.
Yeah, and also if you can incorporate, we've spoken many times about this, but you often speak about the 5 elements, right? Yeah. So incorporate that sort of 5 elements thing, because I think that would be very useful for the audience to pick up.
But before we talk about that, it's interesting because you asked me a question as we prepared for this meeting is about why am I reinventing the customer journey versus reinventing a business model? Or I know you talk to a lot of people who are transforming and turning around companies, and most of them are dealing with, I guess, metrics and productivity and efficiency or whatever else they are doing.
Quality metrics, the blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm.
And very few are reinventing their customer journey.
Yeah.
So what I would like to explore today is this path, which is less traveled, and how we transform the very core of how we connect with our customers.
Mm-hmm.
So again, as I became the CEO of the world leader in regional amusement park and water park, I started putting the guest at the heart of our story. And that's why the Wall Street Journal wrote about it, because they were intrigued. Not a lot of people talk about that. And then I want to talk about the 5 elements of basically reinventing the journey. And they are the right demographics, the right customers, convenience, value, personalized experiences, ease of doing business. 5. So let's start with each one of them. Let's elaborate a little bit on it. I believe that truly transforming the customer journey, you must start by understanding the heartbeat of your diverse customer base. We all have diverse customers. Once you know who are your most loyal customers, it becomes easy to align your vision with their need, and then the magic happens. So Six Flags traditionally targeted teenagers and thrill seekers. They represented over 65, 2/3 of our business. Today, we have expanded our focus to families, grandparents, and young couples with babies. We transformed Six Flags from a theme park into a multi-generational experience where every family member, from toddlers to grandparents to kids with babies or young adults, may find their moment of joy and thrill. We created memories on every visit.
And when you spoke about loyal customers, we sometimes call these, finding Frank. How do you find the loyal customers? Because there's a bit of story there also about firing customers, right? Whether it was at Middleby with the great chefs, yeah, to the teenagers, and it's the evolution of being so focused on the right sort of customer and delighting them that certain changes had to happen. Yeah?
You have a great memory. Yeah. Ed, you have a great memory. I remember in the late 90s, we were the envy of every competitor. We were selling to celebrity chef. We owned that category. And celebrity chefs were on the rise. They were now becoming on TV. They were coming from all over the world. You had celebrity chefs that became like truly the big thing. And we were selling to all of them. And I quickly realized that chefs were not willing to pay us for the service we delivered. Even though we delivered great service. Yeah, because they believe that, doing business with them should be a favor, should be us paying them. So while all our competitors envied us, in 2000, I think, I fired all those celebrity chefs. I kept a few that were really valuable. I'm not saying, but I fired most of them. I don't want to say all, but some of them valued us. I don't want to get to this type of rhetoric, but most of them did not, and a few did love us, and we loved them. And then I decided that I would like to only do business with customers who valued our product or our services, because there's no point of selling to people who don't value you. There's no profit in there, and there is no dignity or respect in it. So at Six Flags, we came back and said, okay, there are certain customers that do not fit our profile either. They came to our park, were not willing to pay for what we delivered, and we found out that they choked our park because there were a lot of quantities. They came in, spent a few hours and left. And then we had a dining meal plan that was very cheap, and they came to eat and leave, or they came to park in our parking spot because it's free, and went across the street for movies, and then didn't spend any money with us. So it was not the right customers, and that's how you know who are your good loyal customers and who value your product. It's not difficult, but the difficulty to say no to them. So finding the right customer is very important.
And then the touch points, yeah, you spoke often
and
about.
The second one is convenience. So the first one is demographics. Second is convenience. Making convenience a cornerstone of the experience. I call it simplifying the path to satisfaction. Simplifying the path to satisfaction. By doing so, our guests are coming back more frequently and spending longer hours in the park. 2 years ago, the average stay per visit per guest was 4 hours in our park. Today, it's approaching 7 hours per visit per park per day, meaning now they are coming out for lunch and for dinner. At the same time, Six Flags, if you remember, 10 years ago or less, or even 2019, it used to be a summer destination. Today, it's a year-round festival of thrills. from spring break to Mardi Gras to Fry Fest to Holiday in the Park. Every season, we offer a new world to explore. It's a whole new adventure. So then you talk about value. Number three, reinventing the customer journey is about creating an exceptional value at every step. Our focus is not on our guests spending more, but on delivering value that every expense by our guests feel like it's an investment in happiness. I am big on that. I want customers to feel that every dollars they spend on us, they are happy about the dollars they spend. So we call it investment in happiness. And I hate when I go and spend money on service or product, and I don't like when I spend that dollar or that amount. And we've all felt that grudge when you spend the money with businesses you should not spend about. And this is why, if you look at what happened, our in-park spend per customer per day increased from $18 in 2019 to $33 in 2024. It's 77% increase per spend per guest, and we have millions of guests. If you make the calculation, you know that hundreds of millions of dollars of increase. And why? Because guests spend more because they know that every moment is crafted with smiles and with excellence.
And how
Now
you
want to talk? Go ahead.
Yeah, so that's, you hear many CEOs sort of give that rhetoric, and I'd say it's blah, blah, blah many times, right? But what's the difference between being obsessed with, like we said earlier, the P&L, the profit and quality, and being obsessed with the customer so that it's an authentic experience, yeah? How do you actually bring that authenticity so they do stay longer? I mean, what's the fine line between a smart strategy on marketing that's there really to drive the bottom line and help the shareholder to what you're talking about?
It's a great question. It's a great question. I've always been obsessed with guests, whether it was B2B, where I was selling appliances, or it is services like amusement park. And they are both have a common feature. They want personalized experiences. That chain, whether it's KFC or Starbucks or Subway or Five Guys, they want their product to be customized, meaning they want it to be delivered on time. They want it to be serviced on time. They want to make sure that it fits the product they are filling. I mean, maybe it's training, maybe it's making sure the heat is different, maybe the placement, maybe the size, or the speed of its cooking. It's personalized experiences. And I think personalization is at the heart of every business strategy. I see every customer interaction as a unique story. For example, at Six Flags, we used to offer rides. Now we offer experiences. Now we've added virtual or augmented reality, wine tasting event, sport bar, VIP lounges, cabanas with concierge services, valet parking. Every visit becomes a new story to tell. We put our guests at the heart of the experience. So I believe that coming to our park, every visit is not just fun, it's epic. Meaning, you come in, I'll give you an example. My daughter, who's 8 years old, when I take her to the park, she's there hours. And by the time we want to leave, to go home, she doesn't want to leave. And then by the time I leave, I have her sleeping on my shoulder, and I deliver her to my wife with smiles on her faces. And when she wake up the following day, she said, "Papa, when can I go back to Six Flags?" Even my 7-8-year-old, because she is running and enjoying every morning. And the final element of basically reinventing the customer journey is ease of doing business. And this is where we get to the fundamental, which is basically cutting the red tape, streamlining the process, and making every interaction smoother and more intuitive. This is removing what you call the choke points that you just talked about, the roadblocks, ensuring that every touch point is seamless. From the pre-visit, when you improve the pre-visit to buy our tickets or your season pass, you go on the website. The website has to be very intuitive, very easy to navigate. You go to our mobile app, and it has to be very easy. I don't want to basically spend, it should be very easy to get you there, not confusing. Then when you come to our parking lots, we used to have, well, remember, people come on Saturday and Sundays. That's our busiest day. They happen to arrive between 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock. Millions of cars, okay? Millions of cars. And if you come that time, in 2018, 2019, 2021, and 2022, even under my time, the first year, I didn't give it any attention until I drove in the park, and it was, for me, 1 hour to drive into the parking lot. 1 hour. Here you are, having kids excited to come in, grandparents with grandkids, in 1 hour to get in our park. So the first thing I did, I said, it has to go from 1 hour to less than 30 seconds. And we created AI technology called Speedy Gates.
So just on the point there is that obsession where a lot of CEOs don't actually live the customer journey. I always remember when you when you called me and said, I'm going to become the CEO of Six Flags, and I thought, oh my God, why is he taking on this challenge? But then the next thing you said to me, I've just spent the last month reading every single TripAdvisor report, right? And when I spoke to anyone I know, and I say, what's the biggest pain with theme parks? Everyone says queues. Yeah, what's the biggest pain for restaurants? It's weekend support. It's bloody obvious. But then you go and do something about it, and the others didn't, right? So again, that sort of philosophy behind this. That's not just hitting P&Ls, right?
I think that where people confuse and make think easy. For us, it was not putting more people and putting more toll gates, or it was using technology. And in that case, we used AI technology, where it's fascinating. You come in, it's basically because you have everything on our season pass or ticket has a sensor. It has a chip on it. So when you come to our park, it recognizes who is in the car, and it says, welcome, Mr. Bassoul, Mr. Capaldi. And it knows that all of you have tickets, all of them, because it will count how many people in there, and to recognize through a license plate who you are, and it comes to you. And it will also direct you to tell you, you are preferred member, please go to the right or go to the left. There is number X, space 111 that is reserved for you. It's unbelievable. And this is what we've invested in. Now, this has made people come in willing to spend more because they are not stuck into getting in the park. And then when we get into that, we have to use safety. We cannot allow hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people coming in our park and having any type of guns or knives or whatever dangerous stuff. So we have to screen them. And we used to do the same screening as in the airport, which is basically one by one, opening your bag and getting onto that belt through that X-ray machine. And we went to a new system called Evolve, when 100,000 people can go in and we can spot immediately who has a pocket knife, and it will pinpoint on them and will stop them. So now the entrance to the park is in seconds. The entrance to the walking from there, we put in trolleys or we put golf cart to take you in. So the entrance from getting to our park to being on a ride or being in a restaurant or hitting the restaurant is now less than 10 minutes.
Cool. So I'm going to ask you a question in a second about examples of what happens when companies don't obsess, right? But I'm going to just throw a challenge to you. Let's have another webinar soon about the culture element, because the other big question, which comes from another webinar, is the fact that you do this transformation, this customer obsession, with a company that's in $2.5 billion of debt or whatever. So there's no real money to finance all this technical innovation. Because I'm sure some of the people in the audience thinking, yeah, this is Selim, this is Six Flags, billion-dollar companies, huge amounts of money. But the reality is it wasn't there, and we had a culture to deal with. So with your permission, I'd like to maybe have another webinar where we can dig into that element, right? So just passing that, and I've got it recorded so I won't forget.
And I had to tell you, it's not being big or having the resources. In fact, we didn't have many resources. When I came in, the company was in bad shape. We had $2.6 billion of debt, and we were discounting. Our profitability wasn't good. So I don't think it's about being too big or too small. Because I can tell you, Disney did not invest in what we invested in, and they are a lot bigger than us.
Yeah.
It takes
a mentality.
It takes a certain commitment to do what you have to do. And it's reinventing the customer journey is not about one thing. It's about, again, value, convenience, ease of doing business, personalized experiences, diverse customer demographic. It's involved deeply analyzing how our customers interact with our brand or service at every touch point, from initial awareness through post-purchase support. By mapping out these interactions, companies can identify pain points and areas for improvement. And I think it goes back, starting at the top. I used to visit the park. I'm still today, every weekend, I'm in a park. Every weekend, meeting with our frontline workers, meeting with our employees. You learn so much. By the frontline employees, if their job is difficult, they cannot service your customers. So you have to make their job easier first.
So what do you say to those CEOs that are too busy? They're fighting with P&L accounts, shareholder value, and they're just too busy to do it. And give some examples of some companies that just lost sight of all of this and just,
So I will tell them exactly, if they fail to reinvent the customer journey and don't adjust to consumer preferences and technological advances, they become, they go away. So I'm going to give you a great example, Blockbuster. I used to be a big user and customer of Blockbuster. They were once the dominant player in the video rental industry. And they owned that business. There was nobody else left. However, they failed to adjust and adapt to the digital transformation in the media consumption. Despite the fact that literally the shift online streaming platform took time. But however, they never decided to change their store-based rental model. Netflix took 3 years. In 3 years, Blockbuster should have changed. They were now enabled to compete with service like Netflix because they missed it. That's it. And now in 2010, they closed all their stores. They went out of business. I could use many examples. I'd use Toys R Us. Toys R Us, another one who was the leading toy retailer in the world. They have them anywhere. In fact, they had them even here. They still have them here. But Toys R Us started to compete against Amazon and Walmart, and then it failed to innovate its customer journey. And I can tell you why. I remember in Chicago going to Toys R Us because they had good products. But then I would come in to surprise my children, and I would buy a toy, and I take the toy, and I find out that this is not what they wanted. And I would come to return that toy. It was unopened. It was so difficult to return a toy, Toys R Us, that I decided never to buy from them, because most of the time we are gifting or surprising our kids or going to birthday party with a gift that somebody would say, I got 2 of those. I need to return it. And Toys R Us were difficult to return. And then when it was a very popular model, they ran out of it. They didn't have enough inventory. So their inventory was always, they dispatched a top product. It was top demand. And then I would go to buy it and they didn't have it. And then finally I would go to somebody else, even if I had to pay more. So I think they ended up filing for bankruptcy in the US. I think they are still open here, but in the US in 2017. And they closed all their stores. And I'm sure the franchisees who learned from this survived and thrived. But how corporate headquarters did not survive. Then I can go, basically, the more one that we know best is Kodak. Kodak was the pioneer in photographic film product. And they were a household name in photography, and they failed to reinvent. And then they didn't embrace digital photography, feeling that it would cannibalize their film business. And then they were taken out, and now they reinvented themselves into, I think, imaging, into type of imaging for business solution. So this is why I can give you Sears, I can give you Borders, I can give you many companies that went out of business. JCPenney, all of those companies went out of business.
Just keep talking about this, innovation, right? The innovation of the business model, of the products and everything else. And you're just talking about really reinventing is innovating this whole customer journey, right? So it sounds like it's actually quite simple, really. You just have to listen to the customer and start doing a couple of tweaks. So I think, in fact, if I shift the sort of focus away from business, right? One of the things I always say to my clients, whatever, is the life cycle of CEOs and companies is half what it used to be. And when we were talking earlier, we spoke about the average tenure of a CEO is down to 4 years these days, on average, right? But it
Yeah.
used to be a golden job. Now, who the hell wants to be a CEO? That's always made me laugh when you went into retirement and then decided to take on Six Flags. I thought, he's gone mad. He's absolutely gone mad. But what sort of tips could we give people that maybe have hit a roadblock in their own lives, or just how can we make it personal? Because you've got 27 years of actually being a successful CEO, whereas most just flake out after a little bit, and you've always been reinventing. So, what's your secret? What can you sort of share with people here outside of the business context, right? Because it all starts with the human at the end of the day. And maybe from this, maybe they can then also reapply it into the workplace.
I think the concept of reinvention, both at business and in personal, is a must. If you don't reinvent yourself, you don't pivot, you don't change, you will never be successful. I think I'm not talking only as in profession. You won't be successful as a your community, as a parent, as a mother, or a father, as basically a friend. You have to be most probably relevant in what you do, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But in order to do that, you have to have a mindset, and I call it a beginner's mindset. A beginner's mindset.
Zen term.
Yes, a beginner's mindset is somebody who's willing to learn from anyone and everyone, anytime. And if you have a beginner's mindset, even at the age of 70 or 80, like your Warren Buffett or Charlie Munger, it's fun. It's amazing. So then I remember I was at a conference called Black Box Conference a year ago. It was in Dallas, and it's by invited only, and it's all what you call rising executive, rising founders, and it's a very prestigious conference. And I was the keynote speaker. I did the speech, and then at the end, somebody asked me from the audience a question. They said, "Selim, what do you attribute your success?" And at the time, I asked them the question, and the question people started answering: vision, passion, hard work, execution. All of them are relevant. And then I said, let me tell you the two that I think are more important than all of those. And the two of them are relevant, being relevant. Being relevant, meaning that you continue reinventing yourself, being relevant in your work, being relevant in your life, your life as a parent, being relevant in everything you do. And to be relevant, you need to have two things. You have to have a beginner's mind and a disruptor spirit, meaning you like to disrupt yourself. For me, to be able to do all those reinvention at Six Flags, I had to first learn about Six Flags. I am the oldest employee they have. Okay, they have a much younger customer base, much younger employee base. I had not been in entertainment. I've never been to B2C. I've been always B2B. And now I had to learn something totally new. I also had to learn about all the technology, from AI to sensors to RFID to QR codes to the technology of roller coasters to having 1,400 restaurants that we operate to having thousands of retail stores. It's unbelievable what I've learned. But that's number one, is to be relevant. Number two is good intent. Good intent is having good intentions, meaning you'd lead your life, whether you're a tough boss or you're a demanding executive, but you need to be always doing everything you do with good intention. You have to be fair. Even if you let go somebody, you need to be fair. Do it with dignity. So my feeling is those combination of being relevant and good intent have led me to be who I am today and be able to still be in demand in my late 60s, where I'm still a CEO for 27 years. And I understand somebody told me I'm only one of 11 CEOs that have lasted over 25 years continuously as a CEO, not being a founder or owner of a company, but being a CEO of a public trade company of Fortune 1000.
Cool. And just on that thing about humbleness or authenticity, there about caring. Yeah. How can you actually? I mean, how does that actually affect the customer journey side, right? So, how did it help? The different touch points in the customer journey. How does it actually help you with zero experience turn around the company in 2 years? Turn around the company that was shut for many years because of COVID, right? It was
Yes. Yes.
a bit of a yeah.
I believe that you have to be authentic and you have to spend time with your frontline employees.
Mhm.
Our frontline employees represent the biggest bulk of our business. So both at Middleby, 80% of our workers were factory workers.
Mhm.
And I remember spending a lot of time with them, and they would tell you a lot of things. They told me about the engineering product that came in and that was not designed correctly. So if you need to service it down back on in the field, it would be impossible to service. Or they tell me about the fact that we're using material that we could use better, less screws, different way of building the product. So at Middleby, most of my innovation came from the frontline factory workers who were building the product
Mhm.
and testing the product in the factory before it went out to the customer. At Six Flags, we have 50,000 frontline employees, seasonal workers that work in our parks. And when I'm with them every weekend, every Memorial Day weekend, every Labor Day weekend, during the weekends, they they are engaged with you. They tell you what the customers think. They tell you where we're having issues because they face it. They hear from the customer. So they see you in the park and they want to engage with you. So literally, I think one of the big things that companies have a problem with is this degree of separation between the lower employee and the CEO has to be collapsed. In my case, when I came to Middleby, there were 8 layers and turned them to 3. When I came to Six Flags, there were 7 layers and we have 3 layers or 3 degrees of separation between me and the lowest working employee in our parks. And that makes the communication much more flowing, more empowerment, less supervision.
And I suppose that takes us down to we'll talk about the culture another time, but that's how you can actually get stuff done. So again, we're coming to the end of the session, but coming to that obsession with the customer, it shows whether you're a CEO or a founder, if you're truly obsessed, it means getting out of the office, it means going down there and physically speaking with customers, with employees to really understand it. And that, I'm assuming, can therefore transform innovation much faster because it's at the cold face, right? It's you don't have all these forms being captured, all these people filling in idea forms and idea processing. It's just common sense. Get off your ass, go and speak to the customer, listen, understand how business works, and then just do the obvious. I mean, is it as simple as that?
Well, I think we most of the time forget that every business starts and ends with the customer. In our case, it starts and ends with the guest. Without a customer, without a guest, we have no business. And I think many people spend a lot of time squeezing their supplier, which is nothing wrong with that. We have a procurement department, but this is not your focus. You cannot get to greatness through cost cutting. No company has gotten to greatness through cost cutting. In fact, today, interesting, I'm going to share with you a fascinating story. When I became CEO of Six Flags, a couple of months later, another CEO, who I respect very, very well and has had an amazing career, became the CEO like me. He came out of retirement and run a company called Peloton.
Mm-hmm.
So both at Peloton and at Six Flags, we had 2 similar problems. After COVID, during COVID, he had a huge business because everybody was at home and they were buying those machines. And in my case, I had no business, but when we opened the park and with stimulus money and everybody has been at home, the parks were very busy. And then after that, it fell all the way down. So him fell down after COVID, and I fell down after a year after COVID. Our business went down. So we needed more to reset the strategy. In his case, what he did, he went on and started looking for more products to sell. And he started going after Amazon. He went into an app where he didn't sell the machine. He basically subscribed the machine. And he started creating a business where he needed more sales. In my case, I said, I don't want more customer, I want less. And in fact, if you go back and look, I shrunk my business, I shrunk my revenues, I shrunk basically my sales. And I reset and said, let me find the right customer willing to pay me. I'm not going to go and fill up the park and discount. Let me build the experience. Let me figure out what my customer wants. And let me figure out a type of customer willing to bring it. Now, when I asked my board that I'm going to go after grandparents, they said, but Selim, why would a grandparent would come to a park where there is roller coaster, where we are known for roller coaster? They're not going to ride the roller coaster. And then I told them I wanted to bring young adults with babies in strollers. I said, wait a minute, Selim, that's not our customer base. I said, no. If I created an environment, if I created an environment where the park becomes safe and I create an area, at the time my daughter was 5 years old, and I said if I create an area for her specifically for young kids to come to use other with art and graphics and dance and special shows for them and feather ride, special ride for them, they will come. If I create shades and benches for grandparents to come with their grandkids and let the grandkids run around and they have a place to sit in a lounge and enjoy and be able to have all the TVs for them to watch all the games going on, sports games, they will come, and they did. But it took time. But it was a very bold decision. I have to give credit. The board, my board, basically supported that strategy and gave me room. The stock went down 50% at that moment because people didn't believe the strategy would work. And now we're recovering, and now we're doing the biggest merger in the industry. And I'm very proud to say we have turned the corner. In the meantime, Peloton, I don't know if you've seen, the CEO was let go or he resigned, whatever it is, I don't know. He might have resigned, but the company is now in disarray and going nowhere. And they are thinking maybe it's going to go under. So this is two tales of two companies that have great product, great services, and great brand name. And when you decide on getting away, starting to fill up selling more product, it's about sales. I went away from sales. I said, let's rebuild the founding, the what you call building blocks of our business. And our business was not built correctly. I need to change or diversify my customer base. I have to invest in more than rides. I have to invest in the restaurant and the food. I have to, because grandparents are not going to eat like teenager hot dog, pizza, and they wanted healthy food. They wanted a meal that cooked correctly. They wanted salmon, cooked salmon. They wanted salads. And we need to change all our offerings in 2 years.
Cool. So essentially what we're saying, this is the main message, I think, for everyone is we often talk about customer journeys and all this sort of blah, blah, but without the obsession of really being obsessed about the customer, true transformations don't really happen. And even if you're the CEO with no experience of an industry like Selim, who comes in with $2.6 billion of debt, unhappy workers, unhappy shareholders, a mess. When everyone's probably saying, bring in the money, sell more, bring in the profits, and you're just saying, serve the customer better, delight the customer better, delight, 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 delight. Huge arguments and all the rest of that would follow. But essentially, that's the purpose of business, truly, right? So I don't know if you want to add anything else, but otherwise I'll close with, I'll ask everyone if they have any questions to type it into the chat. When we do the next seminar, we'll start with me processing those questions and throwing them back at Selim. But really, just to close up, we've known each other for a long time. It's always been an honor to be working with you. I've always wondered, why the hell does Selim work with me? I mean, choice of so many different coaches and all the rest of it around the world. But I think it's, we like disrupting each other, and it's always about brutally thinking about the customer, right? We're going to plan something in October. Do you want to just share that little thing? and why we're going to do it. And it's probably not relevant to the majority of people on this call, but it's just about giving back, right? And I think you've done some amazing things by doing things really simply, right? So what are we going to do in October, Selim?
I think I wanted to always do something with you. I have a lot of admiration and respect for what you've done and the way you take complex businesses and you simplify them. And I know many of my friends who you've coached. In fact, they introduced me to you and they swear by what you've done for their businesses. And I know what you've done for us at Middleby. You came and helped us at Middleby, and you always have been an inspiration for me. So I always wanted to do something together where we can give back in this region. I do a lot of it in the United States, but I think I would like to do something in Dubai, maybe in October, where we can take a 2-day retreat, take maybe 30 people, take them in, 2 days case study where they can bring their businesses, we can engage and talk about a lot of things. Talk about how do you grow your business, which is you've talked a lot about growth and you're good. How do you talk about resetting the culture, about corporate governance? If you're a family business, how do you reset your dynamics and challenges? We would like to also talk about M&A and merger and acquisition, which I've done 105 so far. So I've done 104 acquisition and one merger that's being done right now. So it's fun to be able to take 35 in a very confined environment for 2 days and engage in stimulating conversation. And that's, I invite everybody is on this call. If you like what you've seen and you heard what you've heard and you like what you've heard, would like to invite you and to be restricted. We can't have 100 people who want to engage one-on-one and have it very stimulating. And we need to start doing those type of retreats. And I want to come back and do it. Come back from US and do that with you. It would be fun for us to do a 2-day full retreat of everything that we know we share and help people grow and succeed and win.
Yeah. And disrupt the model itself.
Yeah.
Cool. So without further ado, again, if anyone has any questions, type it into the chat. I'll make sure I cover it. I think we can wrap up. I've got my little notes, as you're talking. That's it for now. So if you want to just add any last gem that might have popped into your mind while we're talking about, the whole point of reinventing customer journeys, the reinvention side. If there's anything else you want to close that you want to share, and then we'll say goodbye to everyone and thank everyone.
Well, before I do, I think there are people who are sending us thank you. First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody who is sending thank you to me, to you. I think this was most probably a little bit of a teaser. It was put at the last minute. I just arrived in Dubai. I'm here for a couple of days, going to Saudi, and I go back to the US. And I think we did that most probably on the fly. But I think we'll have fun if we can all be together again in October in 2 days. And I think, I don't know, we're looking at something, be fun. And thank you for all of you for attending. And I hope I can learn from all of you in October. Cool. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Buddy. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. I'll stay on just to make sure anyone's typing anything. See you soon. Ciao, Selim.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Cool. So thank you, everyone. Type in if you need anything. I'll just hang in here for a few seconds if there's any questions that need to be thrown up.
Thanks for organizing this, Ed. Much